Baruchim Abba, and welcome everyone to a special edition of All Parsha on Parshas Kisavai, the Ben Ashri, the Tzaddik of Ranana, on Kisavai. Let me start by sharing with you an idea that the Ben Ashri mentions Agavorcha in page Kufchav Gimel, and as I've mentioned many times, the Ben Ashri gives a haftacha that anyone who says over his Divrei Torah and his name, the Tzaddik will pray for you ba'olam hazeh u'ba'olam haba. So he quotes the Maggid of Trisk in the Sefer Magen Avraham Parshas Nitzavim, that why do we take a remind on Rosh Hashanah? He says an interesting thing, that Klal Yisrael are considered before God like a remind. Like Chazal tell us, even the empty ones of Klal Yisrael are likened before Him, are full of mitzvos, like a remind. Now, why do Chazal say like a remind? Why don't they pick a different fruit? However, the Ben Ashri explains, quoting the Maggid of Trisk, that we know that when Rav Meir was asked, how was he able to learn Torah from Acher? So the Gemara says, Rav Meir rimain matzah, Rav Meir found a rimain, toichai achal v'klipasei zarak. He ate the inside and he threw out the shell. Likewise, Rav Meir was able to take the good of Acher and throw out the refuse. Now, says the Maggid of Trisk that this idea that Rav Meir learned from Acher is a mashal, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called Meir. Like the Gemara says in Avodah Zarah that Rav Meir used to daven Elakah de Meir Anini. The Marsha says the Meir refers to God. Elakah, the God, the Meir that illuminated our eyes in the times of Chanukah, Anini, He should answer us. So Meir is a reference to God. Rav Meir rimain matzah. The way HaKadosh Baruch Hu deals with Klal Yisrael is He looks at our inside. He looks at our mitzvahs, and He throws away the shell. He throws away our ulterior motives and our refuse. And therefore, appropriately, on Rosh Hashanah, we eat the rimain, and we declare that Hashem looks at us like a rimain. Now, that's a beautiful idea and connection between Klal Yisrael and the pomegranate. So let's move on to the Parsha. V'haya ki savai el haaretz. We know Chazal say many times, V'haya ein v'haya ela lashain simcha. When will we be b'simcha? Ki savai el haaretz. When we enter Eretz Yisrael. But the question is, many people go to Eretz Yisrael and they don't feel that simcha. Nowadays, if you're able to get into Eretz Yisrael, what a simcha it is, but sometimes a person may enter Eretz Yisrael and they don't feel the requisite simcha. Therefore, the pasuk says, "Asher Hashem Elokecha noisein lecha nachala." That's Rashi Tevois Gematria Kula. The reason why we don't feel that simcha is often we are very lenient with ourselves, and we therefore corrode our sensitivity, and we are not. We can't access that inner joy that we would ordinarily feel upon entering Eretz Yisrael. And says the Ben Ashri, the Torah consoles us. V'yirishta v'yashavta ba vav beis Rashi Tevos vav beis gematria David, that we are close to the coming of Mashiach ben David. We know the Gemara in Sanhedrin says Mashiach will only come to a dar shekulei chayev or a dar shekulei zakai. Well, what could happen is it could come for a dar shekulei chayev, and then we will be maharher b'tshuva, and we will transform ourselves into a dar shekulei zakai. May that happen very soon. Bimhera v'yameinu. Okay, we move on to the second offering. Again, v'haya. V'haya is a lashon of simcha. Ki savai el haaretz. What will the happiness be? Ki savai el haaretz, when we enter Eretz Yisrael. Because the Gemara tells us in Ksuba, someone who lives in Eretz Yisrael, it's like he has a God. So, v'haya ki savai el haaretz. You know when the simcha will be? Asher Hashem Elokecha. The simcha will be because when you go into Eretz Yisrael, it will be as if you have a Ribono Shel Olam, meaning the reality of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, your connection to Hashem will be that much stronger. Kol hadar be'Eretz Yisrael doime kemi sheyesh la Eloka. Anyone who lives in Israel is as if he has a God. And the Ben Ashri continues, noisein lecha nachala l'rishta. Noisein lecha nachala v'yirishta v'yashavta that is Rashi Tevos. Noisein Lecha Nachala V'Yirishta V'Yashavta is Rashi Tevos 143, which are the Soifei Tevos of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, indicating that even though we are not worthy to enter Eretz Yisrael, we will enter based on Zechus Avoseinu. Okay, we move on to the third offering. V'haya. Ein v'haya l'lashon simcha. You know when we'll have simcha? Ki sava yala oretz. When we're on the madrega of oretz, of shiflos, of that we're like kinavshi ka'arfala koltia. But the Yetzer Hara, if he wants, he will throw us in Yush. And he will start enumerating sins that we've done to cause us to stumble, that there's no hope. If so, we will go and we'll say, okay, what's the point of being careful in this world? We might as well just enjoy life. So what chizuk could we give ourselves? The haya ki savayel haaretz. But now when the Yetzer Hara comes, and the Yetzer Hara tries to persuade us to say, we've committed so many averos, we're on such a low level, we're not deserving of Hashem's chesed, you might as well enjoy life because you've already blown it. So, the Torah is giving us the following piece of advice. You know what the advice is? The advice is Asher Hashem Elokecha. That you don't be miyayish. Realize that you always have the great gift of connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As the story goes about Rabbi Yitzchak Barditchev, that one time the Yetzer Hara got him to experience such deep yush and hopelessness that he couldn't even speak one word. But then he realized that one thing that he has that can never be taken away is that he's always a Yid. And in fact, that morning in Shul, people wondered, why didn't Rabbi Yitzchak Barditchev say the bracha, Shlo Yasani Goy? And he said, the reason is because in the morning when the Yetzer Hara tried to get me to stumble, the first thing I did when I woke up is I realized at least I have the great gift, Shlo Yasani Goy, and that bracha I already made in the morning. So v'haya, one can always be b'simcha ki savayel aretz, if they acquire the midah of anivas. However, at the very least, the way we could always maintain our simcha, Asher Hashem Elokecha, recognize that the Rebbeinu Shem is your God, He is always with you, that can never be taken away. Now, we move on to offering number 4. And the Ben La'ashri brings a very interesting question. V'haya ki savaya la'aretz, the Sifri says, Ein v'haya ela lashon simcha. And the Mefarshim ask, what do you mean? The Sifri says, Ein v'haya ela lashon miyad. V'haya means immediately. And the Achroinim ask, what do you mean immediately? The mitzvah bikurim is not applicable until we inherit and settle Eretz Yisrael. 14 years. So how could you see that Eretz Yisrael is only available? Eretz Yisrael is the mitzvah bikurim is relevant and applicable immediately, but we know it's not noigeya until la'achar Yerusha v'yeshiva. And the Gerer Rebbe is purported to have said that Moshe Rabbeinu foresaw Baruch HaKodesh that the Mikdash is destined to be destroyed and the Bikurim will become batel, and in its place he was masakein tefillah, and that's what it means miyad. Tefillah is miyad. And the Ben La'ashri considers that extremely doichek. He says the Magen Avraham in his commentary to the Zayis Ra'anan explains that after 14 years is also miyad. That's also pretty immediately. Or what it means is, you will come to Eretz Yisrael immediately. But then the Ben La'ashri says in his preference, he would suggest that V'haya, meaning immediately, goes hand in hand, V'haya, a lashon of simcha. That this refers to that which Chazal say, that if you harvest between Shavuos and Sukkos, so you gather the fruit, so you have simcha, and you could be mevi v'kairei. But when it's not immediate, when you harvest between Sukkos and Chanukah, then you're not mevi v'kairei, because you don't have so much simcha at that time. And therefore, that's the meaning of miyad. Miyad refers to the halacha that you're only mevi v'koyrei in the immediate aftermath of the harvest in Shavuos, from Shavuos until Sukkot. We move on to offering number 5. V'haya ki savai hala aretz. And the Ben La'ashri says, the Mefarshim ask, but v'haya is a lashon of simcha. But what do you mean simcha? V'haya ki savai hala aretz. Don't Chazal say in Masechta Eruvin on Daf Yud Gimel Amid Beis that Noach loy la'adam shalai nivra, a person's better off not being created? If a person's better off not being created, then what's the simcha? V'haya ki savai ala aretz. You won't be happy when you come to the world. You'll be sad. It's Noach loy la'adam shalai nivra. The answer is, you know how a person acquires simcha? Asher Hashem alikacha noisein lecha nachla. If you recognize that everything you have in your life is a gift from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even the nachala, even if a person gets an inheritance, that's also a gift from Hashem Yisbarach. Then it will not be difficult in your hand to, not be difficult for you to give tzedakah, to give charity, to support Laimdei Torah. And this way you will make sure you will inherit via Rishta, via Shaftaba, you will inherit the Olam Haba. Okay, and finally, one last offering of the Ben La'ashri for this week. Arami Oived Avi Vayered Mitzrayim. And the Mekubalim write, the Rokeach brings in the Sefer Galia Razia, that Arami Oived Avi, that Yaakov Avinu, by injecting Aramaic in the Torah, when Lavan said Yegarsa Hadusa, caused Klal Yisrael to go down to Mitzrayim. Arami, the Aramaic terminologies that Yaakov caused to be in the Torah, Oived Avi Vayered Mitzrayim, caused us to go down to Egypt. And the Ben La'ashri says the simple pshat in this is that it was a punishment. Because Aramaic was injected in the Torah, therefore we were punished. We had to go down to Mitzrayim. By the way, we have a long ma'aracha on this in our humble sefer on Pesach, Magad HaRakia on Pesach. Says the Ben La'ashri, in his opinion, it was a toiva gedola that Yaakov Avinu had Aramaic injected in the Torah. The Ben La'ashri quotes the Chidah that when Yaakov Avinu was by Lavan, he was able to select and be mevarer all 600,000 oisios in the Torah B'chsav, and likewise all 600,000 souls of the Jewish people. And the Orach Chaim HaKadosh teaches us a wondrous concept. Anytime a Gentile pursues a Jew, is roidef a Jew, it's only because the Goy has a nitzutz of Kedusha that's shayach to the Jew, and that spark of Kedusha wants to attach itself to the Jew, and therefore the Goy runs after the Jew. Otherwise, what does the Goy have any business to the Jew? Therefore, Yaakov Avinu, when he was in Lavan's house, he figured, what more business do I have with Lavan? I thought I already depleted him of any sparks of Kedusha. Why is he running after me? Why is this Lavan running after me? I thought I'm done with him. And then he realized that there was still a little bit of Kedusha left in him. He still had some of the Kedusha, the Tar Shabbat Pes, some sparks of Kedusha. So he made Lavan say, Yegar So Hadusa. He got out the last sparks. And then Lavan was forced to admit there's nothing left in him, so he translated it back into Hebrew. And instead of Yegar So Hadusa, he said it Galed. And this episode of Yaakov Avinu depleting Lavan of all his sparks of Kedusha is what allowed Klal Yisrael to go down to Mitzrayim and remove from Mitzrayim whatever sparks of Kedusha were there. Otherwise, nobody ever escaped Mitzrayim. So how could Klal Yisrael go there and get out? The answer is the story of Lavan and Yaakov was a Masa Avesim Labanim, just like Yaakov was able to escape Lavan, that gave Klal Yisrael, not that we were punished to go down to Mitzrayim because of the Aramaic that was in the Torah, but that episode allowed us to go down to Mitzrayim and get out unscathed. So these are some of the astounding ideas of the Ben La'ashri on Parshas Savo. Look forward, B'ezras Hashem, next week, Parshas Nitzavim, Haba Aleinu L'Tova. Until then, Bezos Hashem Matzai Shabbos, all the Tefillah Shvi Neskabel, B'Matzai Menucha, Kidam Nucha, Techila, wishing everyone bracha v'hatzlacha.